Welcome everyone to this edition of Looking at Louisville. I'm Chaz.
Hello, I'm Stacy.
And we are here in Old Louisville in an old Victorian mansion, which is actually now a bed and breakfast. And that's what we're going to be talking about, right?
That's right, Chaz. There are nearly a dozen Victorian homes that have been converted into historic bed and breakfasts. We're going to tour 3 of them today, including one that was the home of a late 1800s bourbon distiller.
And then we're also going to be having dinner at Buck's. So we have a lot to check out. Let's get going.
Let's go explore Old Louisville.
Owned by an artist and chef, the Gallery House is a cozy, modern B&B built in 1997 in the Victorian style. It faces Central Park, just steps away from St. James Court, and also houses the art gallery of its owner.
The Central Park B&B is a beautiful stone mansion built in 1884 facing Central Park. Originally the home of Vernon Price, a vinegar manufacturer and president of the Saturday Evening Post. Price was an important business leader during the mid-19th century. With its 18 rooms and 11 fireplaces, the architecture of original construction and imported detailing is still visible today in the splendid front porch ceiling, magnificent stained glass windows, oak woodwork, and the intricately hammered brass hardware of the home.
We're the largest Victorian neighborhood in America. There's always something going on down here. There's many events. You have every Friday night you have a ghost tour. You have Mansions and Milestones tours on Saturdays, and then the parties are spectacular in our neighborhoods.
Built in 1884, the Inn at the Park was originally home to Russell Houston, a well-known attorney and president of the Louisville and Nashville Railroad. The 7,400 square foot Richardsonian Romanesque mansion, adjacent to Central Park, has often been called the Queen of Old Louisville.
Constructed around 1879 by the Delaware DuPonts, the DuPont Mansion is representative of the Victorian-era Italianate Renaissance Revival style found throughout the neighborhood of Old Louisville. One of the finest renovations, it is a rare decorative Italianate mansion with ornate carved Italian marble fireplaces, hardwood floors, plaster moldings, 14-foot ceilings, and 10-foot doors and windows. Antique furnishings, a banquet-style dining room, crystal chandeliers, and formal gardens add to the mansion's ambiance. The DuPonts were manufacturers and wholesale dealers in paper and gunpowder, and became 2 of Louisville's leading citizens, donating the nearby land for what is now Louisville Central Park.
Named after one of its owners, a bourbon distilling magnate, the Bernheim Mansion is a fine example of Richardsonian Romanesque architecture. Built in 1893, the house contains over 8,000 square feet of exotic woods and interesting woodwork. The home is built of stone, and its main exterior feature is a stunning triple archway entry. Early owners were Mr. W.W. Height of the Louisville and Evansville Mail Company. By 1899, the house passed to Bernard Bernheim of the Bernheim Distilling Company.
The Columbine is a unique Greek Revival facade known for its magnificent Richardsonian Romanesque architecture. This former estate was one of the Mahogany Kings of Louisville, built in 1896. The Columbine's white columns and portico stand out from the rest, and inside, Victorian craftsmanship is at its finest. Rare Honduran mahogany adorns the walls, along with a fireplace with rare rose marble imported from Carrara, Italy.
Once the home of bourbon distiller Max Seliger, the historic Rocking Horse Manor is a totally restored 1888 Richardsonian Romanesque mansion that boasts original stained glass, pocket doors, hand-carved fireplace mantels, and 12.5-foot ceilings.
The Alexander House was built in 1882 and features 14-foot ceilings, original hardwood floors, stained glass, and fireplaces. The dining room walls are lined with French toile coverings and prints of 18th century French Impressionists. 2 sweeping staircases lead to the 2nd and 3rd floor guest rooms, each uniquely decorated in eclectic or period furnishings.
Housed in 2 beautiful 1888 Victorian homes, Austin's Inn Place features 8 guest rooms, 3 dining rooms, a parlor, game room, party room, and bar. A fountain and lush garden adorn the property as well. An early notable tenant of the homes was Augustus Everett Wilson, governor of Kentucky from 1907 to 1911. Well, Stacy, after visiting all these different B&Bs here in Old Louisville, we definitely had to make a stop, so we came here to Buck's.
We did, Chaz. And one of the neat things about doing this podcast for me is getting to spend a little more time in those neighborhoods that I just seem to pass through a lot. I come to Buck's for lunch. I've been to Old Louisville for Shakespeare in the Park and St. James, of course, but not really spent an in-depth amount of time here. And after going to those B&Bs, never stayed at one in Old Louisville.
Neither have I.
Now I'm hooked. I don't know which one to pick. It's definitely on the bucket list.
Well, the thing I find interesting is that, just like you said, I've driven through this area many times, and I've seen the bed and breakfast. This is my first time stopping in there, and you're right. It's like Wow, I just really had no idea.
The history is amazing. I think we talked about you could literally spend the day just walking along and seeing the architecture. You might want to check out the churches podcast that we did as well, the architectural tour. A lot of the old churches are here in the Old Louisville area as well. But the oldest remaining Victorian neighborhood, the largest, still intact in the country, right here in Louisville.
Well, let's talk about what we had here at Buck's, because we had a lot of great food.
What didn't we have?
Yes.
Buck and his staff did an amazing job. We didn't even order. They just brought it out to us. So I've got to refer to my list. We started with a lot of appetizers. We had the crab cake, the fried oysters Rockefeller, and the regular fried oysters. We had the smoked salmon bruschetta, which had goat cheese and a tomato relish on it. And that was just for appetizers. And not to forget the duck wontons, and this was a house-made duck chorizo with goat cheese. No wonder I liked those.
Yes.
Then we had entrees. We had the spicy Cantonese noodles. We had the Buck's hot brown, which this hot brown was your traditional style. Their twist was with a whole wheat cheddar garlic bread. We had the crispy fish, one of my friend's favorite items in Louisville. We had the bourbon chicken salt and boca, which had country ham and fresh mozzarella, and it was with an Old Forester bourbon sauce. We had another bourbon-infused dish, the country fried quail, and it had bourbon in the peppercorn gravy. And we had the grouper, all just absolutely delicious.
And I think it was something, we all got to taste so much of this food, and then every time we took a bite of something else, we were like, it can't get any much better.
Oh, the
than this.
flavors here, just really amazing. We didn't need dessert, but of course, we had to have it. So they brought us out the signature, which is their mocha de croix. This is 3 layers of baked almond meringue. The bottom filling was a mocha buttercream, and the top was a rum chantilly. It was covered in powdered sugar, chocolate sauce, and then chocolate shavings. It was to die for. And then we also had the peanut butter cheesecake. Everything just wonderful. And what I love about this place too is the white flowers. You come in and every day, lunch and dinner, they have beautiful white flowers on the bar. This is an official stop on the Urban Bourbon Trail, by the way. It was actually part of a hotel back in the day. It was built in 1926 as the original Mayflower Hotel.
And Louisville's first original high-rise.
Is that right? I didn't know that. Now, it's not a hotel any longer. The rooms are now apartments, but the restaurant is still here. And one of my favorite facts about this place is President Truman visited in 1945, stayed in the hotel, ate at the restaurant, and I like to think, because he was such a bourbon drinker, his favorite drink with his wife Bess was the Old Fashioned. They drank it every night, they say. I like to think that he had it back here at the bar behind us. Who knows?
Well, for more information about this episode, the bed and breakfast and Bucks and great food here in Old Louisville, please send us an email, podcast@golouisville.com. Of course, you can find us in Facebook, Twitter, and in YouTube. So as always,
you're looking at Louisville.
See you real soon. St. James, Old Louisville near St. James. Okay. Okay, stop it. Okay, here, stop it.